if the WWE can send all of these wrestlers to rehab, why can't they help with the injuries to the men and women who give their body to the sport?
Because it's not good PR. And they can, not to be honest, and they put the program in place because of embarrassing deaths and or public displays from people that obviously needed help that were most associated or highly associated with their programs. So it makes them look good if they do that. And it helps people. I'm not saying it doesn't, but once again, the fact that if they're just broke down and in need of a new hip or whatever because of their years of wrestling and have not actually adopted a bad habit or become addicted to something or done something wrong, they're shit out of luck. If it was all purely with noble purpose, those people would be covered too. So until they are, they can't really say that it's not just for public relations because of the substance abuse issues and the steroid issues or whatever the case may be.
No, the exact opposite, actually. I think Vince McMahon almost verbatim to what you said when he had to testify before Waxman, the committee in Congress. It wasn't a public hearing, but the transcript got out. I believe he said, which was completely contradictory to what Linda had said to them, that the policies were put in place purely as PR. That he didn't think there was a steroid problem, that he didn't think any of these things were wrong. Yeah. It was all just PR. So that's Vince saying it. And, it is bothersome, I think, that if a wrestler goes out there and says horrible things about them and then all of a sudden needs rehab, they pay for it. Yet a guy like, let's say, Kamala, who by all accounts is a nice guy, down on his luck, has medical issues. You don't hear about them jumping in. I mean, maybe they have, you don't hear about it, but there's a lot of guys.
I can't remember the details, but Kamala made an outrageous claim that he was paid a drastic amount less than other guys and blah, blah, blah. And he was talking about it, a racist component to it or whatever. And I got to be honest with you, just sitting and looking at what was presented in front of me and knowing the business, I think somebody at some point wound James up with not necessarily proper information, wound him up, and he's still mad about it. But the point is, a guy that has met with health problems, whether just health problems that you get later in life or whether it be related to bumps and injuries and et cetera, that to me should actually take precedent over people who have fucked up in their life and done shit they shouldn't do and are now asking for help, especially if they've knocked the company. I don't anticipate needing any type of substance abuse therapy, but I would not fucking ask the WWF for it because I've said things about them in the past. I don't think they owe me that much. I understand it costs a lot of money. I'd arrange for that shit myself or do something about it. But anyway.
But do you think they have an obligation? I mean, if a guy worked for Vince, let's say for 10 years, let's use that as a number, and after retiring, now he needs to have 1 or 2 hips replaced. He has issues. He has post-concussion syndrome, whatever you want to say, whatever the symptoms that a guy would typically have. If he wasn't the most messed up guy, do you think they have an obligation to financially help them out with medical expenses?
No, I think, and once again, there's nothing perfect, but here's the thing. Instead of just saying we're going to offer rehab, paid rehab to any of our former contracted employees that ask for it for substance abuse issues of whatever kind or however their program is worded. If they were really serious about doing something, could their whole business is they create revenue streams and make a lot of money. Could they not fund somehow? And not even with all their own money, but could they not set something up that generated income to fund somehow a general overall program for former contracted employees? So it's not just when they need rehab, but it is if they need a hip replacement or if they need suddenly, life-altering or changing or saving surgery or some kind and they're not covered with insurance or something that then could be administrated by a panel of a couple of people, somebody that knew wrestling, but somebody that also, was independent and wasn't going to play favorites or be carnied or whatever. and determine who, based on if a guy was under contract for 6 months, no, baby, we're not going to goddamn give him a heart transplant, right? But some fair way of doing things instead of just, to be honest, rewarding guys who have substance abuse issues with, okay, we'll take care of you. But here's a guy over here just got hit by a fucking bus and he's starting to GoFundMe. I don't understand that. Unless it's PR. Because it's PR.
Quite frankly, Vince McMahon, who's never going to struggle for money, could just take his quarterly dividend once a year, and that would finance all these guys having, all the good guys that they don't have problems with, who have medical issues. But, you know, let's not hold our breath on the WWE doing anything to help their former independent contractors who are clearly not employees.
I mean, I know it can't be an unlimited, and you know the guys, and you see with the lawsuits, and I don't defend the independent contractor thing or et cetera, you know, like that. But with most of the lawsuits are not fraudulent, but are just bullshit. And it's a lawyer selling the boys on a concept that he can do something and get them some money, but they're all flawed past the whole independent contractor statute clause or determination. So I know, but they could, and I don't think it should. Also, I think they've sent some people to rehab over and over again. I think there ought to be a, you know, certainly not fool me twice, shame on you, but at least 3 times, and fuck, at that point, you know, it ceases to become our responsibility. I think people have to take some responsibility on themselves, but because does that, if you send the same person to rehab 6 times, you've used a lot of money that you could have helped another person that just didn't need rehab, but had a medical issue or had an accident or whatever the case may be. So, you know, it's got to be responsible, and it can't be limitless. They don't owe it can't be like Kerry Silkin said one time at the Phoenix WrestleMania weekend Ring of Honor shows. He looked around at the 40 guys they'd flown or whatever. He said, what am I running? Make-A-Wish? But it's got to, you know, it has to make sense, but it could be done to be fair to all of the peoples.
By the way, you want positive PR? When the one-man gang's house floods, if the WWE goes in there and pays to help them, that would get the positive PR they want, actually. If Kamala needs help and the WWE helps them, that gets them the same, you know, it's the same objective. You still get the positive PR. It's just they don't do it. So, well, what are you going to say? We end on a down note this week.
Well, thanks a lot. I'm ready to fucking quit.